I've been addicted to adrenaline since I was born, from day one. My mother's pregnancy with me was not comfortable by any means. She was constantly in the presence of my father, who was, very abusive, and so her adrenaline was always on fleek. She seldomly got enough to eat for one person, let alone two. So as I was being formed in the conditions of scarcity. My mother took my two brothers and I away from him because he was very abusive, physically, verbally, mentally, emotionally. And I haven't spoken to him over the course of my life. When I was little, I would struggle with excess energy. Well, I was extremely rambunctious. Nobody could keep me in one place. Having ADHD as a child, I was prescribed Dexedrine, and from 2nd grade to 5th grade, it really made me feel horrible. I would feel nauseous, and they kept increasing the dose, and it just made me feel worse and worse and worse. But after experimenting with pot, I realized it allowed me to focus, and it allowed me to be calm and to not have this excess energy. I actually felt really good, and relaxed and not overstimulated. And so from that day forward, I began to smoke on a daily basis and started bucking my medication also. I started experimenting with ecstasy, mushrooms, later on in my 30s, LSD, anything that could get me out of the reality that I was extremely unhappy with.
Trauma itself stresses the brain, and it's something that releases lots of adrenaline and can actually be neurotoxic. Brain cells can burn themselves out, if you will, under the influence of trauma, which is untreated. People will frequently turn to remedies that they feel are safe, such as marijuana, such as alcohol, such as other things that they feel are much safer because they're natural, when in fact these things can actually be the worst thing for them.
I was actually 14 and found out that I was going to become a father. And my oldest daughter, who's now 22, was born when I was 15 years old. Because I wasn't legally given permission to be a part of my first daughter's life, living outside the law now for about 2 or 3 years, I've just got no drive to do anything that's gainful. So I began selling pot as a means to accrue quick money to be able to provide for my children. I realized after being in this cycle for about 25 years that I was losing touch with reality, which was my goal initially, to escape reality. And so I started thinking, is that what I'm doing? Am I ready for death? I mean, I've already kind of self-sabotaged every relationship that I thought could have ever amounted to anything. I had a breaking point. I reached out to St. Matthew's House once I was accepted into St. Matthew's, and they said, well, we have some resources like David Lawrence Center, perhaps we can get you in there. I was very broken. My heart was hardened, and I think the light bulb really went off, unfortunately, when my youngest daughter lost her life in March. So when she passed away from a drug overdose, she was 19. A lot of things bubbled up to the surface. Trauma therapy has helped me because it's allowed me to perceive situations that I would literally relive. It's allowed me to perceive them and come to new understandings, new perceptions. While coming to this new understanding, this new perspective, the old behavior patterns that made sense seem to kind of evaporate,
The key is to remember that the hope is there, the help is there, and that basically we have the tools to get people better. We just need more support to get people those tools and more support to make sure that we're able to educate the community about these important disorders.
While demand for our services continues to increase, dramatically among children and steadily among adults, through donor support, we've implemented exciting new initiatives, therapies, and strategies to meet the needs of our community. Despite these efforts, more needs to be done to improve access to care. Collier County's overall population has increased by 24% in the last 10 years. Our donors have been so important to help us elevate our services and increase our services to meet all of the growing needs of our community.
I work as an intake assistant at St. Matthew's House. People that come in that are in a place in their life that spells out instability in one way or another, whether it be addiction or homelessness or financial instability, they come in and they're asking for some sort of help or assistance. And I'm there to be able to, speak with them, listen to their needs. Is very fulfilling and very rewarding for me because it keeps me in touch with where I come from less than a year ago, a place of desperation. So the more I've come to David Lawrence, the more willing I've been to develop common day relationships.
We see these stories each and every day at DLC. Children and adults who are depressed, scared, and seeing no way out. But thanks to you, that's not where the story ends. Thanks to you, there's hope, there's help, and there's healing.